All right, welcome everybody around the world. Welcome to all my subscribers. I just want to take a few minutes very quickly to reassure everybody and to let everybody know that you should not let down your guard. I've had a few people in comments reach out to me and say that, oh, well, it's 2024 and the end hasn't happened yet, and accuse me of being a false prophet nonetheless. But, you can't ignore the fact there are still 7 months left of the year. Okay, that's like 200 days, just over 200 days. There's still a huge chunk of the year left. Don't let your guard down. We still have until the end of the year. We always did, as I always said. Okay, so once again, I'm going to refer everybody to my book, available on Amazon. It's only $11.11. 7 Pillars of Scriptural Proof. Okay, 7 prophecies in the Bible that God gave us and told us when the end would be. Okay, on top of these 7 prophecies, there's also supplementary evidence in here as well. And also on my YouTube channel, you'll find even more evidence, more that I've even compiled since having the book published. Okay, not a lot more, but the most important things are here in this book. Okay, but I urge everybody, look, you can see all the videos for free on my channel. Go watch that. But if you want a copy with all the evidence right here, the best evidence, get this book while you can. Study it, because then you're going to have your reason to believe and understand. It's too much to explain in a short video. It hinges on the prophecy. One of the hinges it hinges on is the prophecy of Daniel. But all of these prophecies, all the 7 point towards 2024, including the biblical chronology for mortal man, which the 6,000 years ends 2024. There's too many things that point towards 2024. It has got to be the year, as I've said before. I had another video that I made a couple months ago, I think it was, where I went through one day all the evidence I had, not just in the book, but the stuff I discovered that I didn't even want to put into the book because it's too much, or it's not as great. But I put together a huge list of everything, all the pieces of worthy evidence, and there were 24 things. And since then, I've discovered a couple more, right? So we have probably at least 25 things that show us, most of them are all scripture, that show us that 2024 is going to be the end. None of those 24 things are, silly things like, oh, there was an eclipse this year, or, there's a war between China and Russia. It's nothing silly like that. I mean, these are valid scriptural things. 24 of them. Okay, more. 25 now, like I said. There's too many reasons to know from God that it's going to be 2024. Do not let your guard down. At least wait till the end of 2024 before you start thinking about letting your guard down. But I just sense that there's a lot of people out there who are thinking, oh, it's almost June. We don't, time's running out. Let's put it this way, folks. It's either going to happen or it's not. Let me put it to you this way. If it does happen and you weren't ready, compare the consequence of that to the alternative. Let's just say it doesn't happen. Worst case scenario, it doesn't happen in 2024. We won't pretend to say when it will, but let's just say it doesn't happen in 2024. What could be the consequence of you preparing as if it were? There would be no consequence, only a benefit, no matter when the end does come, even if it's 1,000 years from now, because you'll become a better person in preparing for when the end and judgment day come. There is no consequence to becoming prepared. It's actually what you should be doing anyways, irregardless of whether the end comes or not in your lifetime. We should be doing that. So it's really just telling people do what you should be doing, because nobody does what they should be doing, right? There's no consequence for that alternative. The other option, which is to, oh, well, let's not prepare, because what if it's not the end? We don't want to waste our time preparing and getting right with God. But what if the end does come? And you're just sitting there thinking, oh, my whole life I was this close to God. I was this close to being worthy. And at the end there, it's how sheepish and silly and stupid and, oh, it's too late anyways. How much of that would you feel? So be a sensible person right now. These are the things I've had to think. Everybody needs to think. It's either going to come in 2024 or not. I didn't invent that it's coming in 2024. I pioneered the discoveries, but it's what the Bible reveals. So I'm really just repeating what God has revealed. So don't take your anger out on me. The thing is this, it's either going to happen or it's not. And if it does happen, you want to be ready for that. And if it doesn't happen, but you got ready anyways, there's no consequence. So weigh out those two options. The logical choice is to prepare in case it does happen. And you should be preparing anyways, irregardless of it. I mean, preparing in the sense you should be right with God, not sinning and this and that there, anyways. But let me tell you, folks, if I am correct in all this, and the end of days does come in 2024, or maybe God's going to surprise us, so to speak, not literally, and it comes in 2025, for whatever reason. Do I want to be caught by surprise? Am I going to give up all faith and hope at the end of 2024 if it doesn't happen? Hell no. You think I want to be caught looking like a fool if, hey, it just happens in 2025 instead, for whatever particular reason? You think I want to be caught by surprise? Oh, no. Oh, no, no, no. That's why I got a subchapter in this book here on why you shouldn't give up faith and maintain it for the next few years for various reasons I state in the book. Nonetheless, we cannot give up our hope. The Bible calls it the blessed hope, waiting for the manifestation of Jesus. Daniel 12 told us, blessed is he who waiteth earnestly and comes to those days, the 1335th. That's 2024. We are given instruction from God to know when it's going to happen, to count it, and to prepare for it. We are in the 6,000th year. That's the 6th day of the week. That's the day of preparation. That's what we should be doing in this millennia, is preparing. Okay? And that's what we all have to do right now. And you can't, it'll be too late to say, if you've waited and you didn't prepare, and maybe God's going to wait till the last day of 2024. Maybe he's going to do it early 2025. But if you wait too long to change for the better, and then it comes. I've thought about this for myself a million times. I don't want to wake up one day or be in the middle of doing something that's not right, and then look out my window and see all the fire coming down from the heavens upon the earth, and the angels going around with the armies of heaven. I don't want to be in that situation like, oh boy, it's too late. I got to say a mega prayer because it's probably going to be too late. I don't want to be rejected after my life trying to reach God. I don't want to be turned away at the last second. And that's what every blinking person out there, every Christian, non-Christian, everybody needs to realize, that this judgment day is coming, and you better blinking well prepare. I say it softly, but really people need to hear it like a slap across the face. You need to prepare. Okay? Malachi told people that God would only give two types of warnings, which would be Elijah returning to tell people to reform in order to be saved, and he would pave the way for the Messiah, who would then, in his own grander way, do the same thing. We already got those two figures. It was John and Jesus. They already happened. Okay? They came to us before the day of preparation. Now we're at the end of the day of preparation, the very last year of it. Okay? Our time to prepare as instructed is at an end. We got to prepare now. It includes me. Any last little sins that you have that you keep doing, you got to stop it now, because guess what? Even if you do reform now and stop it, we still, me included, still have the chance God might say, hey, the only reason you stopped is because the end days was coming. If you didn't have the end days coming, you would have continued to wallow in your sin for the rest of your life. And God would have the authority to say that you would or wouldn't do that, because he would know. Right? You don't want to be in that situation either. But really, at this point here, because it's so late, that's unavoidable. So the only best thing that you can do in your best interest as a living soul who doesn't want to go to hell or be punished is to reform now. You got nothing to lose, everything to gain. There is no consequence to reforming. There's only a benefit. Okay? It'll only be better for you. Okay? And that's what I have to do. That's what everybody has to do. You got to ask yourself, are the sins that I continue to do worth looking out that window on the judgment day and having that doom hit your heart, thinking, and pardon my language, but holy crap, I'm screwed? Do you want that to happen to you? No, nobody does. And you have all the power and ability from God to prevent that from happening. And you can do that by reforming. You got nothing to lose. Like I said, if anything, you got power to gain. Okay? But you got nothing to lose. So everybody around the world, they're saying, oh, Jesus is not coming back this year, or whatever they got to say. I'm just going to respond with these following two little verses here, right? So Matthew 24, Jesus said, and if that evil servant may say in his heart, my Lord does delay to come, Okay. Then the Lord of that servant will arrive in a day when he does not expect, and in an hour of which he does not know, and will cut him off, and his portion with the hypocrites will appoint. And there will be weeping and the gnashing of the teeth. The emphasis here is on the fact that you're just sitting there saying that, oh, Jesus isn't coming back. We don't know when he's going to come back. He's not coming back anytime soon. We have no clue when he's coming back. There's a big question mark. That's not what God and Jesus want. We are instructed to know when. So you better prepare and get ready. We got lots of reasons to know why. From the 6-day principle alone, it's been 6,000 years. Anybody in history could have done this math himself. Not just me. Apparently, I'm the only person who succeeded. It's chapter 1 in the book here. All proven with the verses on the page. Every little last number is right there on the page for everybody. Every number is from the Bible. Nothing's invented. It's been 6,000 years. On that principle alone, we know from Old and New Testament prophecy that the end is going to come. Just from that alone, then we got the prophecy of Daniel, okay, which tells us explicitly 2024, and to know it and count it, and blessed is he who does, okay, plus the other prophecies in that book. You got everything. And plus the other stuff, like I said in my videos, there's too much evidence that it's going to happen, okay? There's too many things from God that it's going to happen, all right? And it would be foolish, absolutely foolish of us to ignore this warning, okay? And I want to stress too, I'm not saying this warning like I'm some righteous, pious person. I'm saying this, I'm pretty decent, right? But I'm still a sinner. And sins that I have done are, some of them are bad. You know, God's the judge. I'm not going to explain everything about my life. It's none of anybody's business, right? But I'm not squeaky clean, right? I would like to say I'm pretty good, right? But you know what I mean? Everybody's different. So, you know what I mean? You still be pretty good and still do some bad sins. I think a lot of Christians are in that situation like I am, right? And that's not the way we need to be. So we all need to smarten up. And I'm not here trying to be pompous and pious, saying, oh, I'm better than everybody, or I'm a shining example of what to be like. I'm not here to, I'm just somebody who's witnessing what's coming, so to speak, and is warning people. I'm not elevating myself. I am just simply saying, hey, I know that there's a giant bull running towards us, and let's do something about it. You know what I mean? I'm not saying, oh, look at me up on the podium. I'm so special and righteous. Listen to me because there's a bull coming. I'm not saying that. I'm not elevating I'm just pointing out the fact that there is something coming and we all got to prepare for it. Okay. So that's what we got to do. Okay. That, trust me on that there. Don't say I didn't warn you. Okay. And don't let your guard down if it doesn't happen in 2024. All right. Don't let your guard down. Okay. But you know, the world events right now, okay, the Hamas attack in Israel back, whenever was it, in October now? It's crazy how fast it goes. I'm sorry, but that's lifted from the pages of the Bible. It says at the end of days, right? We know, like I've said in my other videos, my other evidence, Jesus said when you see Israel reborn, that he's imminent. The end is imminent, and Jesus at the door waiting. 1948, Israel was reborn. It took 2,000 years for that to happen. It's all part of the prophecies here as well, by the way, Daniel's prophecy, right? So super important and pulls everything together here. Jesus said when you see Israel reborn, which happened at the end of the 3.5 times that Islam, the final beast kingdom, ruled over Israel. That ended 1948, right? So 1948, rebirth to Israel, Jesus is ready to come. This is the final 2 hours. An hour to God is 41 point something hour. An hour to God is 41 point something years. A day is 1,000 years, right? So it's only been, it's not even going to be 2 hours after the rebirth of Israel. So Jesus has been waiting at the door right then. That's why it says we won't know the hour that he's coming. We won't know which hour for sure, right? And Daniel's prophecy says that seal up the numbers and the meaning of this prophecy until the end has come. Okay, nobody will be able to understand it. Nobody has understood the prophecy of Daniel until these recent years, right? I think I'm the only person in the world who's solved it. So, you know what I mean? It's the final 75 years. That's it. That's what chapter 12 talks about in his prophecy. That's 2024. Psalm 90 also hints at the 75 years as well. And 75 years is short of 2 hours. So, you know, he's been at the door since 1948. That's pretty astonishing. 1947, 1948, the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. Okay, the World War II ended. Israel was reborn. These are penultimate historical events. Okay, and it all happened in that time. So we are in that final generation, folks. And don't think lightly of any of these prophecies that are in this book. Don't think lightly of all the warnings that I've warned everybody, we are in that final generation that has been foretold. Okay, all been methodically plotted out. The disciples and the apostles. I had an older video. It's probably still up on my channel. I should probably remake it with this content refreshed. But there's a verse in Hebrews where Paul says that it's one of the only places, if the only, where it talks about the Sabbath. So Christians aren't supposed to keep the Jewish law. Gentiles, we don't, and we don't keep the Sabbath. But it says that we do. We keep the true Sabbath. This is the millennial Sabbath at the end of days, the greater Sabbath, as they call it. Okay, so, and what this chapter of Hebrews is saying is that there's always been this greater Sabbath, and Israel was striving to enter into that, which is called his rest. Okay, which is when mortality's period has ended at the end of the 6,000 years, and the period of rest, the Sabbath millennia, starts. Okay, so the work and toil of mortality ends, and immortality's period starts with the rest and the healing. This also ties to Hosea's prophecy, being healed on the third day, because that third day corresponds to the start of the seventh millennium, right? So you have everything tying together here like that there. And when you look at it, that's what's going to happen. I kind of went off track there, but we've been through all this toil, and it's going to be that period of rest. Oh, the Sabbath, yes. So to enter into his rest is actually, as Hebrews says, referring to entering into that millennial Sabbath, which means, and what that whole chapter is alluding to, is that they know when the end is going to come because they interpreted the scriptures, as I've been talking about. They knew that at the end of 6,000 years, this would come. Okay, they didn't have to. They couldn't solve Daniel's prophecy back then because certain things hadn't occurred in history yet, right? But the fact is, from 6,000 years basis alone, they would have known when the end is due to occur, because the great Sabbath unto God would have to occur, and all work must stop. Even your ox cannot do work, so mortality must stop. So they knew when this would happen, and they called it the greater Sabbath and entering into his rest. And it says in Hebrews that there does remain for us, the Christians, this rest, and we are to enter into it. Okay, which means that we have to wait for the 6,000 years to end for the seventh day to come, God's seventh day. We have to prepare for that day, and that's what the preparation day is for. So that's why all of this is so important, folks. It's been 6,000 years, whether you like it or not. It's not an invention of mine. It's right here in the first chapter here. It's undeniable. It's been 6,000 years. And on that principle alone, we are facing the imminent end. Okay? Combining with all the other prophecies, rebirth of Israel, everything else, we're definitely at the end. When you look at the world events, like I was saying, the Hamas attack, this is lifted from pages of Zechariah's warning. Zechariah said, just before God and Messiah arrive, the Gog Magog, the nations would mount up against Israel and attack it and do these atrocities. And God and Messiah would suddenly arrive and rain down heavenly fire and stone upon them. Okay, which ties into Revelation, which says the same. Okay, this is what's going to occur. These are the orders of the dominoes. Okay, when these peoples rise up against Israel and attack it. Well, that requires Israel existing, which requires Israel being reborn, which requires 1948 to transpire. Only after 1948 could those events occur. And if you look at any news outlet, any Jewish source, they will tell you that the attack, that Hamas attack, that surprise attack, was the worst event since the Holocaust. So since the rebirth of Israel, the worst thing along the lines of what Zechariah warns will happen was that event. Now, I'm not saying that one event was what Zechariah said, but it's along the lines of what will happen. So when the Gog Magog and whatever peoples who oppose Israel rise up against it like that, those type of terrible tragedies will be taking place, because that's what Zechariah says will happen. But those things, like a domino, will instigate the arrival of God and Messiah. Okay, so that's what we're looking at, folks. If we look at the world right now, like I said, in the 75 years that have transpired since 1948 rebirth of Israel, we have just recently, with those attacks and this now conflict, seen these things starting to come to be that were forewarned. Okay, like it's no light thing to say Israel has to be there. I mean, it took 2,000 years. Don't make light of that. People make light of those things. Oh, you feel like Israel's always been here. Well, it didn't exist for 2,000 years. It was reborn in 1948. This is a lot more significant. Okay, so all of these great world events, they're outside absolute human control. God is the one calling the shots here. And even, hold on, Katie, even the very fact that we've seen these unexplained UFOs, whether they're good, bad, whatever they might be, they showed up around 1948. monitoring, observing, and flying around. Whether they're good or bad, nobody knows, only God knows. But that's what they're doing. That's undeniable. Why all these things happening in this final generation period? Because it's the final generation. So you better blink and well get right. Okay? Get right with God. Become a righteous person. Do it while you can. Okay? Stop worrying about fuss and dogma. What Jesus said to do is very simple. What John said to do is very simple. Reform. Hold on, kitty. Reform to be saved. Anyways, take care, folks, and God bless. Don't say I didn't warn you, right? I'm just saying this to rekindle everybody's, hope and faith and belief and understanding that the end will come. Jesus will not tarry. And Hebrews 10, Hebrews 10, right here, it says in 10:37, for of patience ye have need that the will of God having done, ye may receive the promise. For yet a very, very little, he who is coming will come and will not tarry. And the righteous by faith shall live. And if he may draw back, my soul has no pleasure in him. Okay, so he will not tarry. And in Matthew 24, it said, if you claim Jesus is delaying to come, you're basically accursed. Okay, so Jesus will not delay. He will not tarry. He's coming on time. He's coming at the end of the 6,000 years. That's the whole point of this. Okay, so he will be coming this year. And if not this year, then pretty soon thereof after. So get yourselves right with God. Okay, that's all I could say, folks. Anyways, take care and God bless. Oh, not yet. Hold up. I pointed at this book. Might as well say this one here. The Theology of the Original and True Christianity. Systematic Theology. Get that while you can as well on Amazon. $23. You get both of my books together for like $33. Absolute deal. Okay. Go check out Amazon prices for systematic theologies. Okay. Mine's 200 pages. It's a concise one, like it says so inside. Okay. That's why it's cheap. Some systematic theologies are hundreds of dollars, and they're not all that much bigger. Okay, so this is a very good deal. Everything's scripturally proven on the page. Everything I claim, got the verses right there to prove it. So if you want to know the real Christianity, which I didn't get into for this video, this is it here. If you want to know the way to the end, this book here. Okay, but do yourself a favor, get both. There you go. So anyways, take care, folks, and God bless.